Hello everybody, Brad the Guitologist here. Enjoy the video. Hey, how's it going everybody? Brad the Guitologist here, and I've got, as you can see, an empty desk here, but not for long. Unfortunately, one of my recent mod amplifiers that had come to me shipped has come back to me because a customer was experiencing a little bit of noise. He said when you turn the amp up after it's been on for a little while, you know, it'll start to do the whole rustling of leaves thing and a little crackling here and there and this and that. Well, that could be a number of different things. I did walk him through, I think, a couple of troubleshooting steps on the phone before we kind of, or not on the phone, excuse me, but over email before we kind of, you know, settled on him just sending it back to me. But this thing has come back. We're going to take a look at it, see what's causing this little rustling thing to happen, and also we might do, you know, some slight tweaks on the thing again while we have it here on the desk. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, stick around. Okay, so you may recognize this. This is the one that's back. This is the 1968 Fender Bassman that I did some mods on. Made the abnormal channel mods on this thing. And once again, I don't know if this happened in shipping or what the deal was, but, you know, and some of you probably already are screaming, well, why didn't you do this right the first time, you dumbass? And, you know, maybe that's somewhat valid. We will see what the problem is and was. This is just something that happens, man. You know, sometimes when you work on old shit like this, you know, you don't always catch every single thing unless you're rebuilding the entire amp from the ground up, which is a very expensive proposition. You don't always catch everything the first time, you know, or something else shows its ugly head, you know, within the first little while of somebody getting it back and playing with it. So, and that appears to be what's happening here, because I didn't notice any problems when I had it, you know, and after I had repaired it. So for what it's worth, it wasn't doing anything wrong when I packaged it up and sent it back. So it was either the jostling around on the way back, or just a little bit that, you know, it was being tested out, finally pushed something over the edge. So, but it looks to me like this front panel has actually sustained possibly some even extra damage, either on the way back or while it was there or on the way back here. I don't know. I don't remember this part being ripped like this. It may have been, but I just don't recall it. So if it wasn't, then I don't know. I mean, I guess it must have happened on the way here. Something got up against it, you know, while it was inside in transit. Of course, there's nothing really backing it. I mean, this is all just, I could put my finger through this. You know, it's so old. I mean, you could see it's just this whole thing is about to fall apart. There's crumbs of it everywhere. This end over here is falling apart. There was little tiny microscopic, you know, little mini beasts walking around in this. Last time I had it, you could look down here and see them kind of moving around. So whatever it is, they were eating this. I guess termites maybe or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, he also asked if I could go ahead and maybe replace this front grill also, which, you know, will not be difficult to do. I just need to cut a piece of plywood to the appropriate size. I could try to salvage this old grill cloth, but it's, you know, the grill cloth is pretty banged up. It's probably a good idea to go ahead and order a new piece of grill cloth. So that's probably something I'll talk to him about. If he wants me to order a new piece of grill cloth, I'll have to pry these pieces of trim off and reassemble those onto the new piece that I make. So I don't know if I showed you guys this trick before or not, but a lot of times what you can do on these straps, you can actually stick if you're having trouble getting something from the top. Let me see, let's loosen this one too. A little bit first. You can actually get a screwdriver up under here and kind of pry it upwards as you sort of screw out. And that prevents you from having to even reach on the inside at all, because you're putting upward pressure on the screw. I think this one's actually, I don't know, this one's got some bad threads or something, so can't do that with that one. But 9 times out of 10 it does work very well. Alright, here we are with this thing out and open, and it's kind of like looking at an old friend again. But we'll flip it on here in a second. We'll plug it into a load, flip it on, see if we can't recreate the problem, and see if we can't isolate where it's coming from. I think while I have it on the bench this time, I did not replace these screen resistors the last time I had it. I'm going to go ahead and replace those regardless. The other thing I'm going to go ahead and do this time when I have this is something I kind of screwed up on the last time, but I went ahead and left because it was something that kind of came out cool in a way. This, which was supposed to be a presence knob that I added back here, this actually became, because I did not swap the leads on the output, that was one thing I forgot to do. So it really was acting kind of less like a presence. I mean, it was actually affecting the tone, but what it was actually doing was giving some positive feedback for only a certain range of frequencies. So when you turned it, it was actually accentuating certain frequencies at the output. So in a weird sort of way, I think it may have been responsible for some of the screaming lead tones that we had during the demo. However, I think I would like to return it to more of a presence style control. All right, the output leads are flipped, which took all of about 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and flip this thing on. Yeah, I definitely hear some popping and stuff already. It's not bad, but it's there, you know. Some swishing on that volume knob right there. I hope that's not hope that's not capacitor related. One quick way to find out. Let's see if there's any voltage on that at all. There's none right there. Whoa, shit. None right there. And none right there. So it's not DC voltage related. I think it's just a worn out pot. You know, this could also be, I think I recall actually one of these switches being kind of iffy too, and it was kind of pulling some, you know, whenever I would wiggle it. See, because that's doing that right now. But that's, I mean, that's an old switch for you. See if we can clean this maybe a little better than it's been done. I'm sure I've already done this. I could look back at the video, but I don't always film everything that I do to these amps, so it's possible that I did it without filming it, but it's also possible that I filmed it, cleaning it. But that thing definitely was doing some kind of stuff. You see, I can just press, I can touch it right there, and it's kind of doing the. I mean, there's a possibility it was just that. Yeah, see, that switch is still kind of... I might have to replace that. Well, definitely what little crackling was there when I first fired this thing up is gone after cleaning that switch. Yeah, that's definitely more of a Marshall style presence now, for sure. I don't have a clue how well that's coming across. Maybe it could be coming across horribly, but man, I forgot how damn good this thing sounds. Oh, this thing sounds great. Oh, okay, there's a little bit of rustling back. Yeah, there is a tiny bit there. So, see if we can't track that down. In fact, it's very, very quiet rustling. Okay, there we go. I mean, it really is. It's very subtle. It's barely doing anything at all. And that could be tube related too. Definitely could be. I don't know if you can even hear it. I mean, it's probably even too quiet for you to hear. We'll replace these resistors on that are on these output sockets. I'll go ahead and replace all 4 of them, in fact, and we'll start with that, and then we'll come back. Oh, we got a loose screw right there. Need to fix that. See the loose screw right here. See how it's kind of bobbing up and down right there. So that's something to look at. It's not going to cause the problem because nothing's grounded to it, but like I said, we have to change those output tube resistors on those sockets anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go ahead and get these. Let's go ahead and get these screen resistors out of here. And these screen resistors are quite often replaced with 1K resistors, and that's what we're going to do here. These are 470 ohm resistors, so we're going to go again with 1K. And while we have this off, we're also going to go ahead and replace this resistor as well. Okay, this resistor here is the grid stopping resistor for the output tubes. So again, what we have is the lead coming in, and it's being used as a tie point, and it's coming over to the grid, which is here, pin 5. These old vintage carbons are, I mean, they're old and they've been cooked, and you know they're ready to come out of here. But you know, they're from 1968, so. And now the same thing with this other one. You know, I want to use my old one to kind of gauge my leads that I'm going to need. Sort of straighten the leads, and it just makes it a little easier. Same thing again, just a little bit of extra solder to just kind of make the connection a little cleaner, a little better. And I want to make sure my wire that's part of that connection is still on there and well connected. Flow some solder over here too. Okay, so there's that. One socket down, and I just got to do the same thing with this other one. Alright, so there are both of those done and dusted. And let's see, so I've gotten that taken care of, I've gotten those taken care of. I have cleaned all of the pots, including the bias pot. So let's fire it back up again and see where we are. If it's still doing some crackling and rustling and stuff, I'm going to get a 12AX7 and I'm going to start over here. We'll replace a known good 12AX7 and we'll just kind of cycle it in and see if it makes any differences. And then we'll do the same thing with the output tubes. We'll cycle in a new set of see if it goes away with the replaced output tubes, and we'll kind of approach it that way from tubes if there's still a problem. Then we'll come back and do some more troubleshooting. We'll probably signal trace from there if we still notice a problem. Alright, so let's fire her up. One thing I do notice, I don't know if, it's kind of hard to tell, but I think maybe the wire coming in here on, is this one loose? That's certainly not a good solder joint, so I'm going to have to, I'll do something about that momentarily. For now it can stay, but I'm definitely going to do something about that. Now this needs to stay out here because that doesn't need to be anywhere near this pot, so we'll leave that for now. I really don't notice anything right now. Pretty much dead quiet. That little right there was just, I think, interference from my cell phone. I'm getting a little bit of extra noise from my switching power supply on my soldering iron over there, soldering station. Once again, that little that, I believe, is just interference. That's my cell phone sending a signal. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is. That's an internet signal or something. Yeah, see, it's too regular. Should happen again. Yeah, there it goes. I can't turn my cell phone off. That's one. I could get it out of the room. Let's see if that helps. No, it's still doing that. So whatever it is, could be an oscillation too. Could also be this smart TV I have right behind it here. That's possible. It's on. I really don't want to kill it because I'm right in the middle of a movie, but I might have to. But that's the only real noise I hear that's not, not just your typical noise you would expect to hear on an amp like this. Especially one that's been hot rodded this much. I mean, I do have shielded wire all on these, running back and forth, all of these links over here. So, but I don't have, obviously I have this out on the bench right now, so it could be any number of types of interference going on here from different sources. But see that little right there? I'm wondering if that might be coming from my computer. See, I've got a computer here. I've got this camera, and cameras can interfere with this stuff sometimes. I've got this LED light overhead that has a little power supply on it. I've got this smart TV up here that's sending signals back and forth to the router. So I close my computer, and it's gone. That intermittent noise is completely gone, that interference. So yeah, that definitely was radio interference. Alright, well that's cool. Good to know. And I don't hear anything. I hear no crackling of any kind. So I think this thing is ready, probably ready to go. Gosh, this thing sounds so damn good too. I almost don't want to send it back. Yeah, see this bright switch has been modded. I don't know if you saw my original video on this. I'll link it down in the description or in the first comment or whatever if you want to check out the original modification video on this. But this switch is actually now a mid-range selector switch, so it can give you kind of a couple of choices of a mid-range. Since we don't have a mid-range pot, I could put a mid-range pot on this if I drilled a hole and all that kind of stuff, but again, I elected not to do that in the last video for reasons that you'll see in the last video. I talked about it a little bit. You know, I could put a mid-range pot. I could drill a hole here on the front and do it. You know, this is a vintage amp though. I really hate to do that. There's also this socket, the auxiliary socket on the back there for power. You could put one there, but running leads back and forth, that's a long way to run a lead, man. That's in the tone stack, and that could induce a lot of noise in your signal. And I think this is a really good solution, alternate solution to having a mid-range pot control, is having a switch that gives you like a, you know, it more or less gives you like a kind of a 9 o'clock or more like a, I guess, a 10 o'clock and a 2 o'clock, you know, selection. So, and you can see what it does. Yeah, in all honesty, I think it was probably the switch was dirty, and that was the issue. And I sprayed the hell out of it and switched the hell out of it, and it seems better now. But it's good to get this thing back anyway, because a couple of things. I needed to fix that front grill. I needed to swap the leads on that output so that this worked more like a traditional, presence control. Rather than, you know, a positive feedback, you know, selective frequency boost control, which is what it turned out being. And, you know, it's good to know that I replaced those resistors on that output, up the screen resistors to 1K, which is common. I'm gonna let this burn in for a while and make sure that there's no more weird noises or anything like that crop up, or anything else I need to take care of. I'll check the bias on the output tubes one more time before wrapping things up also. Yeah, next thing we're going to do is that front grill. I'll cut a piece for that. I'll probably go ahead and show that process too. So yeah, let's turn our attention to that. Okay, we're back with this thing. We've got a piece of 3/4 chipboard cut, and we have the new grill cloth in, and I've removed all of the hardware pieces from the old piece as well as the logo, and we're going to apply them all to this piece of wood. Okay, here we are with the new front grill that we've cut the wood for, and we have the grill cloth all cut, And what I did was just basically measured it, and I cut out these little bits here to make it easier to, so we don't have to kind of fold everything over the corners. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually do this, adhere it 2 different ways. I'm going to hot glue it first. So we're going to put down a bead of hot glue, and then we're going to hopefully so just stand this right up, because I have it exactly where I want it. So we're going to stand this right up onto the bead of glue that we make. And I already have it pretty much right along the edge of one of the lines here. So it's kind of my guide. And then once we're done with that, we'll come back and put in the staples along the edge, and then we'll do the other side the same way. So let's start off with a bead of hot glue. And this is one of those operations I'm going to have to do kind of just all at once. So wish me luck. All right. Okay. Well, the problem there is it's going to stick to the desk unless I get it off the desk. Damn it. Gotta get it off the desk. Get off the fucking desk. Oh, you stupid. You stupid bastard. Alright, well that was pretty dumb. Let's try it. Try a slightly different way here. Well, I mean, this doesn't have to hold it by itself. This is just for getting it started. So it's not real critical. I have made a mess though, haven't I, on my disc? Which is kind of stupid. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get one of these pieces of trim on here. Should help hold it into place. And I actually kept the original little staples here, so we're just going to reuse these. We'll go ahead and glue the opposite side. Fuck! Ah, you son of a bitch! Fuck you! Jesus! Oh, that hurt. That hurt. I put my finger right on top of the glue rather than right beside it. I was trying to put it beside it. Ow, that freaking hurt. Jeez. Yeah, that's gonna be a blister. Fuck. How dumb was that? Fucking hell. God, if I was smart, I'd be using some kind of implement. Some kind of tool rather than my fingers. It's fucking stupid. Oh, I gotta do something about that finger. Damn. This method does actually work pretty well when you don't burn your freaking finger. Look at this. I'm sure I deserve it in some way. But yeah, basically just, you know, put some glue on there, stretching the stuff up and over, and it kind of holds itself. I mean, you do get a little on your finger. It's not so bad when you don't put your finger right in the stuff when it's just come off the nozzle like an idiot. Like, if just doing this, though, it's okay. It doesn't really hurt. But you can get a good pull on it, and it, you know, it holds pretty well. It's going to at least hold it long enough for me to get the piece of trim on here. As long as you stretch this stuff while it's still, while the glue is still pretty pliable, you can get a good stretch over the new baffle. Well, I say baffle, it's not really a speaker baffle, but you know what I mean, over the wood. Alright, let's put on our second trim piece. Yeah, I can hear the criticism now. Why don't you just get a stapler? Okay, now we got to do the ends, and you can kind of see what's going on here. See, it's not that it doesn't burn. Really, when you do it like this, there's too much air around it, so you can get it and kind of you can just kind of pull it back toward you while the stuff is kind of setting up. It does a good job. It holds it down really well. It goes through the grill cloth and kind of grabs it on the other side. I mean, it's really the perfect thing for it. Alright, by the time we get those other pieces of trim, that'll be perfect. Alrighty then, there it is. I think I deserve a pat on the back for that one. Came out pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Yeah, cool. Cool beans. Let's get the logo on it. Okay, 3 drilled holes later and some screws, and we've got our logo on there, and I think this thing is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and get it on the amp, see what it looks like on the amp. Okay, so there she is, all back together. It's not perfect, but it's, you know, it's pretty good. It's a hell of a lot better than it was. So that will conclude this video on this heavily modified Fender Bassman. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you have, please hit subscribe down below. Also hit the bell to receive all notifications. And for now, we'll see y'all later.